Right. Welcome, everyone. We will go ahead and get started so that we can make the best use of everyone's time. As you hopefully are aware, this is a webinar to discuss the upcoming, as in you're going to get the link today, um, long form, as I've been calling it, but the extended report where we're getting into the meat and gravy of what is happening with these dollars so that we can better advocate for having them in the future, getting future funding. You may or may not be aware the program was not continued in the governor's budget. That said, a lot of the legislators are putting pressure on and are supporting us with this. So we are hopeful that that will be something that gets added. Just the beginning of the budget process. The governor's proposed budget just got released last week or the week before, and so the process is a back and forth, and we are engaging in the back and forth. So it's really critical. If ever there was a reason to share why it was really critical to participate and provide accurate reporting, it would be that. As we make the case to have funding continue. So let's get started. All right. So I am Laura Fuller. I'm the Senior Project Manager at ITQI, and I'm overseeing this project. With us today, we also have Riva and Amanda. They are the two program coordinators on this project who are in charge of making sure you get paid and making sure that your questions are getting answered quickly. And they are the backbone of the ITQI project. So when you have questions, when you email the box, you're most likely getting answers from one of them. We're happy to have you here today while we talk about the report. We do have a couple of quick announcements. This one is really cool. So that was the bad news was the ITQI funding. This is some good news. So I'm sure you are all aware that in December 1st, there was a new department created, MyLeap, and MyLeap combined the licensing and the work that MDE did in early childhood education. So this new department in the first 90 days, we made some recommendations at ECIC, and one of them was this that was accepted and is now, as of February 25th, the current rule. So the current rule is that parents no longer have to go after non-custodial parents' child support in order to apply for a subsidy. So if you've had parents in the past who have applied or haven't applied because they didn't want to deal with the other parent and they didn't want to deal with going after child support, that barrier has been removed. So if you have families that would benefit from the subsidy but didn't because of that particular reason, they should reapply, even if it was recently determined that they were not eligible because of the child support issues. Go ahead and reapply immediately. So that's a piece of good news to share today. I just want to briefly remind everyone there are 3 purposes to this pilot. The first is to increase equitable access to high quality infant and toddler child care in Michigan, to increase pay equity in the infant toddler workforce, and to improve quality in early learning using an equity lens. This slide hasn't changed. We have, in fact, you should have just gotten your March payments. They were sent last Thursday. So depending upon how your bank works, you should have seen the money show up. They all went successfully. We know that for a fact. But this is the schedule going forward. So you'll see that the latest date is the 5th. So our goal is to always have them out by the 5th. So far, that worked not the first couple of months because of timing, but we seem to be on track now and have the process down with MyLeap. So Should be more smoothly, right on time going forward. And we're starting to process and gear up for April already. When you applied for the grant, you agreed to maintain accurate documentation and be fiscally responsible. I will let you all know that as of right now, we are going to be doing monitoring starting, I believe in April, May, starting in May. You'll be, if you were selected for monitoring, you'll be notified in April. We're still waiting to get the final approval of lists back from the state. So do know there were about 25 of you that will be asked to upload all of your receipt documentation. Standard reporting, I want to say, has been going amazingly well for the grant spending report. We have had 100% response return on the grant report for the spending. We're still working on getting the enrollment information up to 100% as well. That would be lovely. But right now, the enrollment response has been pretty significantly high. So I'm not personally complaining. We just now that we have 100% on the reporting, we'd like to have it 100% across the board. Extended reporting happens 3 times. So March is going to be the first time, then you'll have it again in July, and then in October at the end of the grant cycle. That will have the regular 2 as usual, the enrollment text that you'll get and the grant spending text that you'll get, but also has a place for you to include impact stories and also ask some workforce questions. So let's look at that. I'm going to skip this because we're doing it well now. You should all be familiar with this screen in GSQ if you have logged in to do it. And as you can see, you can go back and edit past months if you wish once the month opens up. All right, let's get to what we're really here to talk about today. Extended reporting. So this is the QR code for the report. You're welcome to take a snap with your phone if you want. You will be getting the email, an email directly from our email box today that has the link. So don't feel like you have to take a snap now. I'd prefer that you not start it until after the webinar. So sit tight. It is in SurveyMonkey. It's not in Great Start to Quality. So you are not logging into the GSQ website in order to complete this report. You'll just click on the link, which will take you to the report questionnaire. I do want to point out, you can't come back and edit it once you submit it. You can go back a page or what have you, but you will not be able to return to the same report and edit it at a later date. The reason for that is we do have some providers that have more than 1 license that is part of this program. And in order for them to be able to submit multiple surveys, they will need to be able to, we can't keep it editable in order to have multiple entries available. Okay, so the first part of the survey is demographics. We need your license number. We want to be really clear when we say license number, we're talking about your program license number, not your driver's license number, which we have sometimes gotten in the past. So we need your program license number, the name of your program, the zip code that your license is located in, and then the county. The county is going to be a drop-down box, so you'll just select which county you're in. I believe if you start typing it, it will just automatically populate it to the county that you're looking for. The name of the person completing the survey, and then what is your role at the license? Is that on there twice, Reva? I'll have to go back and double check that. What is your role on the license? So we anticipate that we will have, oh, I see, it just got copied into 2 screenshots. Same question. So we have listed owner, the site or program director, the secretary, the corporate, if you work at a corporate office, an accountant, or a teacher or staff member. or other, whatever your role is. For question 7, if you are the owner or director, are you also responsible for caring for children, for the infants and toddlers receiving subsidy? The reason that we're asking that is we are trying to get a sense for how often administration has to step in order to make ratios work. I've heard from many of you that you are the center director, but most days you are caring for children too. So just to get a sense of how many people is that applying to? And then question 8, other than yourself, do you have employees at this license number? And by that, we mean employees who are staff members. So you're withholding payroll taxes and that you pay with a W-2, so a legal employee. That said, if you use a staffing agency like Robert Half or EduStaff and have staff that are employees of a staffing agency, please count them as well. So we're looking for legal employees at the location. If you answer no to this, meaning in most cases that you're a home provider, a home-based provider, not a center, and you don't have any employees, you will get to skip several pages of questions because you don't have staff to answer them about. However, for centers, we do have some in-depth questions to ask. So the next page is a workforce question. So again, if you don't have workforce, you're not going to be asked these questions. But if you have workforce, I do want to point out we're asking you not to include yourself if you're the owner. I probably should have specified that. Don't include yourself if you're the only employee. But as of today, how many full-time staff work at the license? We're defining full-time as 30 hours a week or more. How many of them care for subsidy receiving infants, subsidy receiving toddlers? Then the same for part-time. How many part-time staff? How many are working with infants and how many are working with toddlers? Do you have openings? How many of them are full-time and how many of them are to work with infants and or toddlers? Same with part-time. So we're trying to get a sense again of what are your workforce needs in that second part of those questions, 15 to 20. What are your workforce needs? How many openings do you have? And I will share with you one of the reasons that this data is so critical in our lobbying towards getting the ITQI program back in the budget. One of the things that we saw was in the applications that you filled out in November, based on the number of openings that people reported having for staff, we figured out a number of approximately, if using a toddler ratio, 20,000 additional slots could be created if our workforce was fully staffed. So it's really important for us to be able to share this kind of information with legislators. This is where you're going to have to do a little math. I'm going to walk you through how to do that math. Again, if you have no staff, you won't have to worry about it. But but we're asking for the hourly rate for us both at the starting level. So if you hire a brand new person into this job, what do you pay them? And then if you hire, and then what is the average for that position by position? So we have it for lead infant teacher, assistant infant teacher, lead toddler teacher, assistant toddler teacher, lead preschool teacher, and assistant preschool teacher. I know that's a lot of math. And the reason that we're asking for it is we really are trying to see just how underpaid the workforce is in early child care. We know it's significant, but we want to see how significant. So how do you do all this math, you ask? You may not ask, you may already know. But in case you are sitting here scratching your head, because I did for a minute, trying to figure out the best way to do it, we put together a how-to. So here's the how-to. So add together all of the compensation you're paying your staff. So wages and bonuses. And this is because we recognize how many of us paid additional money to staff as bonuses instead of as an increased wage because we are afraid that the money is not going to continue. I'm asking that you include both into this. I'm asking that you do it for February. It's a nice clean 4 weeks. And it's the most recent month. So, looking at your February payroll. So add all of it together and divide it by the total number of hours that they worked. Then add together the hourly compensation for all the staff in that category and divide it by the number of staff. So here's an example. You have 3 employees working as toddler assistant teachers. You gave them all a $1,000 bonus in February. February had 4 weeks. Employee 1 makes $13 an hour, works 20 hours a week. Maybe they're your newest hire. That comes out to $260 a week times 4 weeks in February plus $1,000 is $2,040. Divide by the 80 hours that they worked in February, gives us $25.50 an hour. Employee 2 makes 15, works 40 hours a week, which is $600 a week by 4 weeks plus $1,000, $3,400 divided by the 160 hours for the week or for the month of February, and we get $21.25. Employee 3 makes $14 an hour, works 25 hours a week. That's $350 a week or $2,400 for the month when you include the bonus. At 100 hours in the month of February, that is $24 an hour. And I add $25.50, $21.25, and $24 together, I get $70.75. For 3 employees, that gives me an hourly compensation rate of $23.58 an hour. So I realize it's a lot of math, and it's a lot of math by category, but that is for that second set so I'm going to go back real quick. For that second set where it's asking what is your hourly average rate, that's how you do the hourly average rate. All right, moving on. I want to also make this very clear. Due to scheduling hours, I recognize that this may have no relationship to what your license capacity looks like. That's okay. If you are offering part-time care, if you're offering 24-hour care, weekend care, you may have a license capacity of 10. Nobody has 10, let's say 20. But when you add in second shift and weekends or what have you, you may actually end up caring for, 40 kids. Not an issue, not getting reported to licensing. None of this is going to be shared at an individual rate anyway. But I'm not expecting this to match your license capacity. So please do not feel like there's a problem if it looks different than your license capacity. Do enter a 0 if the answer is 0, though. So based on your program goals, your personal program goals, may have nothing to do with license capacity. I've talked to several home providers that have a license capacity of 6. They're very happy caring for 4 children. They do not want to increase that. I get it. That's great. But based on whatever your goals are for your center, your program, your home license, what have you, do you consider yourself at capacity? Are you fully enrolled? Then how many full-time infants receiving subsidy are you caring for? Part-time infants receiving subsidy, full-time toddlers, and part-time toddlers. Again, may not add up, right? I don't know when you have which child here and there. And then I always also get the question, what makes it a full-time? It's entirely based on your definition of full-time. So whatever it is that you consider a full-time slot in your program, that is full-time. How many subsidy receiving infants and toddlers unenrolled from your program since December? So on December 1st, you had X. After the holidays, did you have any that didn't come back for whatever reason? We're trying to get a sense of what that might look like. So how many total left your program? And again, this is just children receiving subsidy, just infants and toddlers receiving subsidy. And if they left your program, was it because they aged out? So several of you have had conversations with me and with Amanda and Riva about You have a child that turns 3, they're no longer in the in the 35 months and under category, so they're technically aging out. Sometimes the family moves, right? Might be a case of they did not recertify, they failed to recertify for whatever reason for subsidy. Did they move to a school-based program? This is we're particularly looking at this to look at how the expanded universal pre-K is how that's impacting private sector providers. And then of course other. So, did you have other reasons? Excuse me. And then how many new subsidy receiving families have you enrolled that have infants and toddlers? So have you enrolled additional children? We're asking for some demographics of the children in your care. If you don't know, don't guess. If you don't know, select don't know. So in some cases, we like to think we can tell. We can't always. If you have the relationship with a parent that you feel comfortable asking, that would be great. But if you don't know, then just select don't know. So we're asking by race, and then we're also asking by ethnicity. So those are separate categories, both in the case of how governments look at things and in the case of how people often relate to them as well. So specifically for the ethnic categories, we're looking at Hispanic or Latino, Latina, and then Middle Eastern or North African. How many of the children in your care participate in early on? So we did ask you to submit documentation for children participating in early on, but you only needed to submit one in order to maintain the bonus for the special needs. We're curious how many total you are caring for. So if you have 8, say 8. We don't need you to document the 8. I'm not asking for documentation of them. I just want to know how many kids in your program are legally defined as having special needs based on an IEP, IFSP, or 504 plan. Enter the number of children on December 1st who, again, as far as you're aware, speak a different language at home, or I'm sorry, speak what language the children in your care speak at home. If you don't know, that's fine, but do your best if you do know. You will need to put something in those columns because it is a required response, just so you're aware. Excuse me. And then the number of children, subsidy receiving children by racial category currently. So the question 41 was back in December. Now we're asking about your current March enrollment of children receiving subsidy. Excuse me. And then again by ethnic category and current children in your care who have special needs, and then the current language breakdown of the children in your care. We're asking you to, again, address your wait list. Do you currently have a waiting list? How many families are looking for an infant slot on your wait list? How many are looking for a toddler slot? And then so that we can get a sense of, what is your capacity at, and how long is your wait list? Remember, we are using this information to get a sense of adding and reshuffling expansion slots. So if you have a long wait list, that is going to help us determine where we're going to be putting expansion money. That said, we are still keeping some cap. We're going to be revisiting what the cap is on expansion slots, but we will be still not putting all of it. If you tell us you have a waiting list of 100, that doesn't mean we're going to give you 100 expansion slots. That's how I should say it. We're looking at staff credentialing. So how many of your staff have credentials? I'm sorry, and that was prior to the beginning of the pilot. And then since December, have any of your staff completed a credential? If yes, We're asking you to give us their name and then to upload a copy of their credential document into your GSQ profile, or you can email it to us. That would be fine too. But a copy of their diploma, a copy of their, graduation announcement in the last 3 months, what have you. And we will then be sending a bonus payment to you to disperse to them for completing that. We're not sure in the exact amount yet, probably going to be $1,000. But if you have a staff member who's completed their CDA, then their CDA, their bachelor's, an associate's degree, but have completed a credential, we do want to recognize and award that. So please do help us to do so. All right. We're getting close to the end, I promise. So since December, has your rating changed? Your GSQ rating changed? Are you in the process of being rated or re-rated in GSQ? And do you need additional help and support in that process? And if you say yes, you need additional help and support, we will be passing that information on to your resource center quality staff so that they can come out and help you, or whatever their role is. But between them and our internal validators, so that we can get the coaches to you that if you say that you are in need of some help. We're asking about barriers around staffing. So are you struggling to find staff? I know most of you are. Have you posted your positions with us at ECIC? Here's the link to the ECIC board. Would you like help creating job postings? One of the things that has come back to us in commentary is that it can be really hard to know what to put in a job description. And in editing a job description. So do you need help with that? One of the things that we're looking to do is get some technical assistance for programs participating in the pilot to have some kind of template job descriptions for early childhood educators at different levels, assistant teacher versus lead teacher, et cetera. And then lastly, are you struggling to fill your open slots or your expansion childcare slots? Yes or no? If yes, what do you find to be the biggest barrier in enrolling childcare subsidy seats? And did your program have any, and this also comes directly from feedback that we've received from you all. Have you or your program had any issues involving I-billing in December and January? We heard there were a lot of problems with I-billing where children were no longer showing up on lists, they were dropping off. Sometimes it's a case of them in the re-rating process, or not re-rating, in the requalification process, but sometimes it's not. So did you have an issue with that? And if you did, could you please include the first and last name of the child in question so that we can reach out to our counterparts at MyLeap and let them know how many of our providers actually experienced a problem with it. And two, make sure that you're getting the proper credit when we pull the list of subsidy billing here next week, that you're getting proper credit for the kids in your care. So we'll be comparing what you said you had to the list that we get from MyLeap. And if you had children that you said that you did not, that were not showing up for you at some point, we'll have access to, we'll be able to say, well, we're saying this person, can you verify whether or not they should have billed for that? Or whether or not that child was billed for. So also really important for you so that you're getting properly credited. We do have a few impact stories. You'll note these are not required. However, again, we're trying to build a strong case when we go for our lobbying day here next month, I think, maybe next week. I don't know. I feel like it's coming up really soon. But we are asking you to tell us a little bit about your experiences relating to these specific questions. So first, how has your program been affected by the end of pandemic-related funding and support from the state and federal government? We're calling it the funding cliff. I'm sure I've heard from many of you that with the end of some of the ARPA funding, that copays have increased for families. They're struggling to make their payments. I've heard from some of you that with the end of the pandemic assistance, it's just causing problems, right? Problems with dropping off of funds. So please share with us some of the ways that has been impacting your program. Next, has the increase in available GSRP program slots impacted your program's ability to recruit and or retain staff? We know that GSRP programs often, especially ones that are school-based, often pay more than is paid in the early childhood sector in general. So, and they have the same requirements for teachers. So, has that had an impact on you in retaining staff? Then we also are aware that with the expansion of GSRP, that it has had some impact in the children attending your program, that many of them have moved in, if they're eligible for GSRP, that many of them have moved into GSRP programs, which also could have an impact on your bottom line, because the difference in ratio between a GSRP classroom and infant care, toddler care, et cetera. So has that been something that you've noticed? And then has that impacted your ability to provide affordable infant and toddler care? And the reason that we ask that is because we do know that often infant rooms, especially with their 1-to-4 ratio, are somewhat subsidized by the children in your older classrooms. And so, we do recognize that if you're not caring for as many older children, you are potentially struggling to be able to afford to care for infants, especially. And then last, how has participation in this pilot changed your business operations model? If any, has it? And if yes, how? And then what were you able to do with this grant that you could not do before? So I have heard some amazing stories from some of you about everything from being able to get necessary medical equipment for some of your children with special needs to, being able to pay for your staff to have the time off that they need to pass their CDA, all sorts of amazing things that have been done out of this funding. And so I just would like, I'd like for you to give us a brief, it's a short answer. So a brief, like what are some of the things that you can do now that you couldn't do before? This has been shared in the past. So that was the end of the questionnaire. This has been shared in the past. Just want to encourage you, if you have documentation that you want to go ahead and upload, you're afraid you'll lose it like me. I'm moving next week, so I'm losing everything right now. Go ahead and upload it. You're welcome to. The only ones who will be required to are those that are selected for monitoring, but everyone is able to do that. That said, at this point, it's not, everyone has that needed to do this. So special needs documentation has already been uploaded and verified. And just a quick reminder, always make sure you keep your subsidy billing up to date, because the expansion slots especially are going to be dependent upon your current billing. So if you haven't done your February billing yet, get it in this week, because we're getting the new list next week. So get your February billing in if you haven't done it yet. Okay. So again, if your quality level has changed, we're verifying it with the quality team, and they will let us know. If it's increased, we'll be sending out a bonus payment. And if you have a staff member who's completed a credential, we'll be sending out a bonus payment as well. So do make sure that you let us know so that we can celebrate those milestones with you by giving you money. I think everyone knows how to do this at this point. If you're having trouble submitting documentation, reach out. We'll be happy to help. But on that note, I'm going to stop the show. and open it up for questions. So let's see, can we allow all to unmute? And go ahead and ask questions of us about this, or oh, we were going to put that. It's in the email that's coming out. The report is due the 15th. So this report is due the 15th. Yeah. Yep. Go ahead, Fatan.
Hi.
Hi.
I just have a question about the when you calculate the employee by hour. When I give the employee, I did separate check.
I don't care
So,
how you pay them.
uh-huh.
I don't care how you're paying them. I'm just saying add it all together for the purpose of the report.
Okay, so but when we're gonna report it, we're gonna report it as two checks, so that's fine, right?
You're going to report it all in one. So maybe I shouldn't have stopped the share. Let me go back to the share. So
we didn't calculate it and add their hour. We just give them extra check at the end of each month.
that's fine. Yeah, I that's why when I did it in the when you look at the slide, is it sharing the slides? I think it's sharing the slides. I think I have it on the right one.
Yes,
when you are calculating it, you're just going to calculate what the average was. So let's say in the example that I gave, actually, right, I said, okay, they worked this much plus $1,000 because I gave them $1,000. I was making up numbers. So I gave them $1,000 bonus. So when I put together, when I multiply $260 a week by 4 weeks, it's $1,040 plus $1,000. So I have the total amount, and then I divide that still by the total number of hours they worked. So yeah, does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense. I just want to make sure because I haven't two separate check in case they ask us for checks.
Yeah, I'm not interested in whether it was bonuses, wages, all paid once a month, paid every month. I just want you to figure out for me what their hourly rate was.
Okay. Thank you.
All money, if you add all of the money together and they work this many hours in February, what does that divide out to? So
yes, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Michelle?
Good afternoon. I am the owner of Wonder Years. We are a 24-hour childcare center. Now, my question is for staff classification. So, for example, on our afternoon and midnight program, some of our staff members care for infants, toddlers, and on some occasions, preschool, school-age children. What do you all consider, is there a definition for true infant and toddler teacher? How does that go?
I would say, where are they spending the most of their time?
Okay.
And base it on that.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to get into the specifics in this report. I'm not going to get into the specifics of, did Lachelle work at least 20 hours in the infant room to be counted?
Right.
I just want an average, because we're going to compare it to the wage scale and see okay, when we pull this data, what will happen with this data is we will give it to the public policy associates, the same group that is interviewing staff starting next week, I believe. And they will look, they'll look and say, oh, wow, the programs in this group are now paying their staff, $10, it averages out to being, instead of being, employee 2 here normally makes 15, but with this money, now they're making 21.25 an hour, right? Look, it's having that kind of an impact. So that's really what we're looking at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Janicia? Did I say that
Hi.
right? Correct me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Thank you. I got a question. So, should we just figure like the money that we have like left over, do we just figure out just like disperse it out in average to all of the employees? Because what we did is we kind of put like an incentive-based bonus structure for them to kind of incentivize them getting their CDA, getting some certifications and things of that nature. So if some of them didn't really participate like we will have wanted them to, and we have funds left over, do we just carry those funds over when they no longer are giving the grant and just still use it to still carry on their extra pay that they're getting? Or what should we do?
Okay, so all money has to be spent by September 30. So
Okay.
So not past then. Certainly at this point, I would say go ahead and just continue to carry it on. And hopefully with summer coming up, some of your staff will take advantage and that you'll be able to give them some of those incentives. Because again, you're going to do the same, pretty much this exact same thing in July and then in October.
Okay.
So yeah. But that said, if you want to go back through and say, thank you for staying with me through the end of the school year. Here's a bonus check at the end of the school year for, still being with me. And I'm currently sitting up by 20 grand. Let me go ahead and give all of the staff $1,000 to have some summer fun money. Yeah. I'm always a big fan of a bonus right at the end of the school year because I know where that's going.
Okay. Thank you. That helps me with more clarification with that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions for us? At this point, just go ahead and unmute yourself and ask. You're fine. What other questions do you have, if any?
Yeah, hi again. I'm sorry. The teacher has to have a CDA in toddler infant, or she's fine to have it in a preschool?
Nope. Unfortunately, all of this money has to go directly to the infant. It's only for infant toddler teachers.
Yeah, but I mean, if she work in a toddler room, but she has CDA in her preschool.
I'm not sure I'm understanding the question. Are you saying that she got her CDA for preschool, but she's currently a toddler teacher?
Yes.
That's fine. As long as she's currently a toddler teacher, as long as she's currently teaching children under 36 months of age, then that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, well, we have recorded this. It will get posted on the website. A link to the website is in the email that you'll be getting this afternoon, along with a link to the survey itself. If you have any questions, by all means, reach out. We did include Reva's number in the email as well. So you will all have it. Please reach out with any questions. And we're really happy to be able to support you through this and hopefully have some better news soon. So, and if
Laura, we have a couple of people in the chat that have some questions.
I don't have it. Got it. There it is. Okay. I have an idea. Can you create a Google worksheet with the example provided and we can enter our rates and information in? That would help. You mean like have an Excel like a calculator to put it in? I don't know. Amanda, can you do something like that? I can't. I don't have that skill set. I did them on my calculator in my phone.
I believe that we're gonna have an attachment to the email that's going out to everybody that explains that hourly average that was just in the webinar, so everybody can reference that.
Yeah, emails will be out right away. Absolutely give them a bonus for their CDA. We're going to give them a bonus too. Like I said, we're gonna be sending. I think with the April payments, assuming y'all get your reports to me on time, that we can redo all of, because we have to hand calculate all of these. Amanda is the one that does it. Amanda's amazing. My whole team is amazing. I'm the luckiest person alive, but Amanda and Riva and I will be recalculating everything to make sure that anyone who completes, like I said, just upload the certificate or send it to the ITQI email box, and we will have a bonus sent out. The bonuses are for anyone who has completed a certification, whether it's their CDA or whether it's like an associate's degree, what have you, starting December 1st. So anything that has been completed since December 1st, let us know. CDA renewal would, yeah, if they did the work and they just got their CDA approved again, by all means, let us know. That can certainly go in. I would take an unofficial transcript, absolutely. That's fine. Hopefully the bonus that we pay them will help them be able to pay off the university so they can have their diploma. Yeah, I'm not interested in being punitive to staff members who have put in that kind of work. All right, any other questions? Well then, I will give you back 10 minutes of your day. We are doing this again tonight at 6:30. So if you see somebody asking on Facebook, let them know they can still register and come to the 6:30 version. We will be posting this. We'll be posting this on the grants page. And we will go from there. Isetta asks, we had a child with an IEP that did not provide documentation for, and our grant was reduced by 25%. No, what happened is, I don't know how many slots. I would have to look at your specific one, at your specific license, but if you're caring for a child with documentation for special needs that was 35 months or under, part of the calculation was $1,000 per slot. So you should be able to unmute. I did select that. But if you so it would have taken out $1,000 per slot. So if you had 10 children, that would be $10,000 out of the total for the grant. So I would have to look at yours specifically. By all means, we can. I understand that it was one slot. However, the $1,000 bonus applied to all slots. So if you didn't provide documentation that you're caring for at least one child with a special need, with the special needs documentation, then, so for example, if you had the full amount for, if you were a level 3 quality, which is enhancing or above, the maximum award amount was $14,000 per slot. You got, so of course you can schedule a meeting. I thought you already had. So if you had, so like if you had 10 slots and you said that you were caring for a child with special needs and you didn't upload the documentation, then we took the special needs bonus out starting this month, and that special needs bonus applied to all slots, even if you only are caring for one child. In order to qualify for special needs, they need to have either early on visitation, or they need to have an IFSP. So not just, they have something on their physical, but they have to have a documented special need. With the legal documentation of what special needs is, it's in the slideshow. It's the same. It's been the same for all of these grants, but they have to either be 504 early on or an IFSP. Confirming, yes, you have to do both the text report, or you can log in and do it. In fact, about a quarter of you have already completed that. And you will have this due by March 15th. And the deadline for CDA when they receive it. Anything that they've received between December 1st between December 1st and this coming, I'll need to know. Oh, right. That's why we're probably moving this from October to September, because I'm going to need to know that so that you get in the last payment, you'll have a chance to get bonuses. So Amanda, what is the drop dead date for changes to the last payment? Would be what, August 20th? So between now and August 20th is what we have to pay bonuses out. Okay. And yes, you can always schedule a time with me. There is a link in my email signature. Riva has it as well. She can send you a copy of my link to schedule a time to talk with me if you have a specific question about your particular program. All right. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And you be looking for your emails. You'll be getting them shortly. Take care.